Hello everyone. In the previous lecture that we talked about being an ethical student. Now, how do we, if you remember, how did we learn how to be an ethical student? We said that honesty in academics and also digital behavior help us to lead an ethical life for a student as a citizen. So, when we talked about honesty in academics, we not only talked about a single individual, we talked about how a community, a learning educational community, works in tandem for the bigger perspective to achieve the bigger goal of the educational institute you are in, the community that you are in. So, it is not you as an individual who has to work for it, it is a community input, like for the faculty to work well, for the other staff to work well, for you to be in compliance with all the rules and regulations of the institute so that you can have a comfortable learning experience. Then we talked about digital behavior also. Digital behavior not always be monitored. We are independent for most of the times when we are using technology, be it the laptop, be it the internet, or be it any other technological device. So we have to be aware of the mindful usage. We said that what we share has to be mindful, what we speak has to be mindful, what we listen to, what we read has to be filtered properly so that it has its correct usage on us. Then we also talked about how passwords work. Like, passwords are also very, very important, and you have to be mindful while creating one so that it is not easily hacked. Your information is not passed down very easily. There are certain times that certain private information is sought on websites, so you have to have discernment. You need to logically think why that particular information should be shared, or even if you share and if you think that it is important, that it should not be misused later on, because there are serious implications if your private information is put out. We see so many fraudulent episodes that keep happening off the internet, over the internet, because of the internet, and they're not always mindfully done. Some miscreants just do it to create menace. Sometimes it happens that a person whom we have disparity with must just do it to put us down. So we need to be very mindful. We need to have good netiquettes that we talked about, good etiquettes when it comes to digital behavior. So I hope that lesson was very welcoming in learning. Today we talk about lesson 5.5, and it talks about responsibilities as a student and citizen yet again, but the subtopic that we will be touching on will be personal responsibility in civic life. Now I'm sure all of us somewhere at the back of our mind do know what our civic responsibilities are and why should we be mindful of them, how should we practice them, how should we make them physically possible. Let's see. Students have a vital and evolving responsibility in civic life. Why? Because you are the future torchbearers of our nation. You carry the nation forward, you step into the future. So, therefore, a very vital and evolving responsibility for you in the civic life, both within your immediate communities and a broader societal scale. So, immediate community is what? The environment that you live in, the family that you live in, the educational institute where you are studying, or probably even a tuition center where you go to. So, this is all your proximal area, very close area. Then we have a broader societal scale, anything that is further connected to you, like our family, your friends, environment, a larger society that we live in, all that, an ethical society that we live in, ethnic society that we live in. So your circle keeps becoming bigger. So does your responsibility keep becoming bigger. This responsibility goes beyond simply obeying laws and extends to active participation in shaping a just and thriving society. So, here what is happening is that you are not only responsible for carrying out a good civic life, but you are also expected to participate. When we participate, it is physical participation. And when we participate, we learn of so many new trends, we learn of so many new ways, we are able to educate others, we are able to teach others good ways of living, we are able to teach others the fact of sustainability, which is very important. We've seen in the previous modules that for a country to survive, it has to be sustainable. All things in it have to sustain. The education system has to be sustainable, the resource system has to be sustainable, and all of this has practical implication. I hope we agree with that. So how do we go about doing it? Let us see. Active participation and engagement. How do we actively participate and how do we engage in it? The very first, very important for people who are 18, turning 18, 18 plus, voting and political awareness. We need to have a say. If we have a perspective, if we think that our perspective can make a change, if we think that our perspective can be beneficial anywhere to the country, anywhere to the system, anywhere to the nearest society that we live in, then we need to be exercising our vote. We need to be politically aware. Politically aware can have again a thin line to walk in. Politically aware can be for the wrong cause also. Wrong cause means pulling down people. Aware for the right cause means you know your rights and you know how to exercise them. You know the rights for other people also and you support those rights. You help other people find justice. That is how political awareness works. Community involvement in the human event. So when we have sufficient community involvement, we need to make people aware, we need to be aware ourselves on how things work, we need to help people around us. Advocacy and activism. What does advocacy means? Advocacy basically means speaking for the right cause, creating a environment where people are reactive, people who are not passive, people who understand, people who learn how to step and talk for the right cause. So there's alertness in people's minds. Activism goes with advocacy. So everything that we are advocating for, we need to mobilize more people, because the more you are in numbers, the more your strength reflects. Deliberation and dialogue. Deliberation is mindful thinking. Are we mindfully aware of what we are indulging into? Are we creating meaningful dialogue? Are we talking about the right things, the right inclusions? Informed and responsible citizenship. Now, how are we informed as a citizen? Staying informed means knowing, being alert, being aware of what is happening around you, in the society that you are living in the environment that you are living in, not living with closed eyes and shut ears. Understanding rights and responsibilities. In the previous modules, we have been talking about the Constitution, we have been talking about the fundamental rights, we have been talking about the democratic value system. So all of that put together gives us an understanding of rights and responsibilities, which we need to know, we need to learn, and we also need to exercise them effectively. Then we have the ethical behavior. We have been talking about the ethical behavior. We have been talking about a moral compass that we need to possess. So everything works together. You cannot singularly work on one part and conveniently leave the other. You need to, in tandem, keep working with everything together. The next is developing essential skills. Essential means the very basic, what are required, what are important. So the very first is critical thinking and problem solving. We can only solve a problem when we analyze the problem well and we are thinking very critically about it. Critically means that we weigh the pro and the con. That if you have a problem and suppose A is the solution to it, does A have more of benefits or drawbacks? Similarly with B, if you have option B, then critically think about that also. Then we have leadership and collaboration. Now, leadership cannot work very well without collaboration. A leader has to delegate responsibility and effectively work. A leader cannot just shirk away from responsibility. Once delegated, also, if an employee gets stuck somewhere and then employee needs reasonable help, that leader should be able to step into the shoes of that person to extend a helping hand. That is how leadership and collaboration work together. Then we have communication. Communication has to be very transparent. It cannot have two different meanings and it should not be misunderstood. So, anything where there is a little drawback in communication, it causes a lot of friction. And a lot of friction means that the skill is challengeable, that the rate of your skill comes down. The role of education. Why is education important in the whole scenario? So it is important because it is educating you about the human self and the civic aspect of it. What else are we learning? We are learning about service and learning, because unless we do it experientially, unless we are practicing it, how can we learn? Every learning skill requires continuous practice. Without continuous practice, we do not learn that effectively. So, what we talked about, what we just said, let's see a gist of what it means to us. So, you are not just future citizens, you are active members of society in the present. Do you believe that? Yes, you are active members. Every thought that you have, every mindset that you carry, every skill that you carry does matter. Your engagement, informed perspectives, and willingness to contribute are vital for a healthy, vibrant, and involving democracy. Why vital and healthy? Because everything which is not positively inclined cannot be healthy. Anything which is not full of life, vibrancy, cannot be good for our health. So, willingness to contribute, willingness to give in, willingness to take back are vital for a healthy and vibrant democracy, for our nation to do well, for our nation to thrive. By embracing your civic responsibilities, you contribute to positive change and help build a better future for yourselves and the communities. So, what is happening is when you develop a community, it can only be better when your input is there. How your input is going to be? Your input will be the civic responsibilities that you are extending. Without extending civic responsibilities, how can you even have any expectancy out of your community? So the input has to be there, just like a computer program. If you do not have an input software, if you do not have an input program, what is it going to show to you? It will only show to you what you put into it. So when you make an effort into making things work, into making things better, it is only then that things will become better for you, for the nation, for the society, for everything that is working around you. So with that, we finish lesson 5.5. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed learning how we as students are responsible for a better civic life for ourselves and everything that is around us.